So on this image, like he talked about, there was shadowing behind you guys. Um, that was happening because I was above you and behind you, and my snoop method wasn't so successful. We can fix that in post processing. I would like to play with it and leave it. And the way that I would fix it is, again, you guys saw those patchworks that I did on the last one, pretty much the same thing. And or I would use a stamp tool with the similar areas around it. You press the stamp tool, you get an area here, and then you stamp it over the other one. I don't know if you guys have ever done that before. Okay.
When you were behind us, was there a danger of some of that light coming into the viewfinder?
There was a possibility of that. I don't normally flash behind and over people, and it's possible that that could have created some noise within the image as well.
I was covering the viewfinder.
Oh, good, 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 good. Some cameras have a really nice viewfinder they can snap closed, spendier ones. So again, we start out. Whoops, I don't need to start out with the highlights. I want to start out actually up here with the lens correction, and we go back to that. It does not recognize this one, so we have to select the Rokinon. It is the 14 millimeter lens. It just does. It picks up the rest of it once I tell the brand. I think that we need to bring down that outside brightness that it did, so that we don't get too much noise. And so now we open the image. Not quite yet. Back to our basics. Again, I loved using that clarity, bringing down that highlight as much as we can. If I bring it down too much, it turns gray, so we're just going to have to play with it naturally, about right there. If I bring up the shadows, it helps enhance the foreground, but it doesn't really need too much enhancing, so I'm just going to leave it alone for the most part right now. The last part is the white balance, and then after the white balance, we can punch up the vibrance. Warmer makes it too yellow. Bluer makes it too cool. So I'm just going to, again, leave it at 4,000 for now and play with the Vibrance Tool a little bit, and then open the image. Okay. So on this one, we got a wonderful bottom 2/3 and then the Milky Way coming over here. But I feel like there's almost a good image already right here. How do you guys feel about what you're seeing here? Any tips on what you'd like to see done?
I'd crop the flare out.
You'd crop the flare out? Let's see what that would look like. And then would you bring it down? I mean, some people chop off the whole thing and they maybe keep that so we have a reason for the lens flare there. And then looks like we're lined up to the thirds there. Let's see here. I feel like that changes it a little bit. Makes you kind of wonder what's going on there.
When you're cropping, what aspect ratio are you using?
Original. I always like to use original. And when I crop and I hit the crop button here, I hold the shift key to hold the lock down, to hold that way it keeps that original shape. I'm gonna go ahead and play with it, just see what we got here. I know you don't like that big beam in there.
Well, you can get rid of it some other way. I'm good with that.
No, I won't get rid of it. I'm gonna play with it as an artistic way for this one.
I like it easy, but
Oh yeah. So then finally we get back to the sky. Is there any enhancements that we want to do? We can't really change the foreground too much. I could punch up the vibrance on the truck, but that makes it green, and then it takes away that rustic look to it. I like that it's pretty natural already. The vibrance on the sky can't really be punched up yet because it's too much light pollution. So I'm gonna Control Z, Command Z out of what I've done in my adjustments and start out with the color balance. So if I take my color balance and I make it a little more blue, you see my sky kind of darkened up immediately. Let's go ahead and hit Control Z so you can see what I've done. You see the difference? And then now in the magenta and the greens, I can choose to go one way or the other. And we'll decide this, I think, with the green a little bit on the +2 because the magenta creates more of a haze. I'm going to go play up here with the red and or the blue. And then what's great about this one is if I use the blue on this end, I can bring down the yellow and or vice versa. Oops. So let's go back to this here to 2 maybe on the red, and then just keep the blues that we got going here.
Are you focusing more on the sky, or are you looking at the whole image?
I'm looking 100% right here, guys, and I'm not looking at the entire image. And the reason I'm looking at this area is because as you see the difference, the color balance, to me, what do you guys think? The warmer or the cooler? It's kind of opinion.
Is there an accurate? Is it won't technically be more accurate? Like what should be the color of the sky?
I feel like it's a little more bluish, darker than yellowish.
It's so hard to tell because you never really get out of it.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with this because what also happens is when I punch up the Vibrance tool on that kind of color, the Milky Way gets more color. But before I can get more color to the Milky Way, you guys are welcome to use restrooms and stuff. Like I said, this is recording. Before the Milky Way gets more color, I'm actually going to adjust here and try to bring up the light just a hair. But that doesn't work. Remember, I can cut off my color palette and then come here and bring down the light and then do the edit fill black instead of white down here. Brush in white the changes that we want, which would be affecting the sky. Okay. That might have gotten a little too hot, and part of my problem is I'm at 100% on everything, so I went down to 50% on the opacity and then also on the flow. And then last but not least, kind of want to keep that circle look that we had going there. Let's take a look at what we've done. So we brightened up that area, and now I feel like if we do use the Vibrance tool on the Milky Way, edit, fill with black, and then brush in with white. When we use that Vibrance tool, let's see if that made a difference at all. It gives you a little bit more color, like the yellow gas around it. Kind of brings you back the other way. But even if I wouldn't have touched up this image, I feel like alone by itself, it looks wonderful. A few touches really just made the color difference is all we've done. So that's where I'm at on this image here. You can fix the people down here by using the stamp tool. Go down, bring my size down here. Again, we want to have an actual image to stamp from, so I did the Alt Control Shift E or Command Shift E to blend them together. And I use the S for stamp tool and or come over here to the stamper. You can make your size of your stamp, pretty good, significant. By holding the Alt key down and then selecting the area you want, you can then stamp that over any of the areas that you click and drag around. So I did a little click and drag on that. I'm going to re-stamp over here again one more time. And I'm only going to get half of the shadow out of the way because what's happening is I need to get light from this side too. So I'm going to stamp over here, and then I'm going to shade in from this side over here, stamp over here, and shade in a little bit there, stamp one more, and shade in right there. So you can see the idea is you can get rid of people if you need to. And so this person now that was there no longer exists. The other way that you can do it, you can use the wand tool, and right click for the magic wand if you want, and it sometimes can select the areas. No, that magic wand was not very helpful on this dark image. The brighter ones are much easier. So deselect here, sorry, and then select this dark spot here. Okay, a little bit more selection. Control Z, just a little bit more here. Nope. Let's just start there. Edit again, fill that area. We're going to fill that area with what they call content aware, and then you just press OK, and voila, it does it for you. The content aware tool is kind of just a patch tool, kind of just like the stamp tool, but once you've placed it there, you can see the differences. Again, covering people up, And photoshopping, again, it comes down to the artist and the creator. You can keep going for hours, or you can call it good here, or we could have called it good when we just processed it right off the raw camera. So I'm going to save this here on yours again, Terry, to your card, and then you can create an image from that if you'd like. So that's the one we created right now. I believe I got... Oh,
That's the iPad version.
you want to pump it up there? Just punch it up there real quick. So this is processed with Lightroom?
No, with Snapseed.
Snapseed, okay. So she's going to... should be